Welcome to Stories of Hope. I'm Christine Hotchkiss. Each week, I bring you stories that will inspire you, educate you, and give you hope. I want to thank my studio sponsor, the Motivated Mind Group, your global creative agency based right here in downtown Chandler. Today, I have the privilege of sitting down with Scott Stowers, who is a volunteer and he's also a board member for the organization Arizona Adaptive Water Sports. Their mission and their vision is for anyone with a disability to have access to getting on the water and embrace the freedom, love that word, of adventures that await. They are a faith-based organization and serve in the healing ministry of Christ. Please help me welcome my guest today, Scott Stowers. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yes. We also know that Joe Crawford is our executive director for this organization, but she could not be here, so thank you for taking her place.
No problem.
And
no one can take Joe's place.
No, you're right. No. So when she sees this, no one can take your place, my friend.
He's amazing.
You have the insides of it as well, because you're out on the water with them, and I say them. It's what the ages of
3 and up, really. Anyone with a disability, and their family members.
And the family members. I didn't realize that.
Right.
Okay, so we're going to have a little clip that's going to go on throughout this, somewhere in this recording, that will give more information as to what, and visuals of what the organization actually does, because it's on the water.
Absolutely.
I had a guest here that they have adoptive organization that allows them to go on snowboarding and other things that are, more grounding.
Great.
So a volunteer coordinator. You've been doing this for 19 years.
I have.
That's a very, very big passion. Was there something in your life that said, this is what I want to do because something had happened, or is it just because you felt that you wanted to help others have the freedom, as it mentioned in here?
Well, I go back to when I was in college. I was a water skier, and I went to college in San Diego State. And at the time I was there was an individual who was actually a friend of another instructor, water ski instructor, and he had an accident and ended up paraplegic and in a chair.
Okay.
And he just had a fire for life, and he wasn't going to let that slow him down. And he went to the other instructors and said, look, how are we going to get me back on the water? He was a water skier, and now he doesn't have the use of his legs. And so they started figuring it out, and they created the first adaptive water ski. And this was in the 90s. And fast forward many years, I moved out here to Arizona in 2003, and they created adaptive ski programs based on that. They built adaptive ski, which is basically a sit ski. It's a very large ski, and it has a seat on it, and they've continued to improve it year over year over year to make it safer and safer and make it more competitive also for skiers who actually want to continue to have that competitive fire in their life. So I was around in those early days when it was started, and then I moved here in 2003 and became aware of the adaptive water sport program here in Arizona. It's mostly been based at Bartlett Lake in the Northeast Valley, and phenomenal facility, great marina, very accessible, which really matters. Back in the day, it was once a year, we'd have a 3-day event, and it would be really busy, and there'd be tons of people, and it was amazing, and it was exhausting. But everybody had a great time. But what really mattered was participants. If you think about an individual who has potentially had a life change to where now they're in a wheelchair, or maybe they have a traumatic brain injury, or for whatever reason they've got some sort of disability, they would come out in most cases with a lot of fear or trepidation and concern because their body doesn't do what it used to do. And so we were in a position to create a really safe atmosphere, a really encouraging atmosphere, and be able to provide opportunities for participants to get on the water safely, no matter what their ability or disability. So if you think about a traditional water ski, you have to hang onto a rope. You have to be in the right body position. You have to have, the boat's got to be the right speed. I mean, it's challenging to get up for able-bodied.
I tried it once. That's all I couldn't get out of the water.
Right. So what we've created is The sit ski itself also have what's called outriggers.
Okay.
Outriggers are, if you think about when you're a kid and you learned to ride your bike and you had training wheels, outriggers are like training wheels on a water ski. They're side skis, they're little kid skis that are hooked onto the side of this main ski, and that allows for buoyancy, it allows for balance, and we also are able to, we hook the rope to the ski. So an individual in the ski doesn't even have to hang on, okay? The rope can be hooked to the ski, and in the boat, we have what's called a quick release, and that if the participant falls or wants to stop, we can release the whole rope from the boat, so that keeps them safe. So they're not in jeopardy of, falling and getting dragged and things like that. Okay. So everything has been thought through and worked through, and it's a very, very safe environment. So when participants come, and many times they take a lot of encouraging to get them in the water and to go ahead and do this, but once they get on the ski and once they feel the air blowing through their hairs and the water splashing them, and they just realize they're not in their wheelchair, they're out on the water, and they have just a great time, and you just can't get the smiles off their faces, and they just absolutely love it. And it's a passion I've had since I was a kid. I grew up water skiing in Michigan, and to be able to create opportunities for everybody to get on the water, it's just been something that's just been a passion for me. It's just helping and serving others, just that one-on-one connection to be able to help them has been great.
You had mentioned that it started out with just a 3-day event at one point, and very busy. Is there only one boat at a time, or is there multiple boats, and how many people at a time can go out?
Great question. Today we have multiple events. We have events in May, June. We usually pause in July and August because of the heat, and then we pick back up in September and October. But we're doing events in different locations around the state. We used to do everything at Bartlett Lake. Now we've gone out to Lake Havasu and gotten the population out there. We've done Lake Powell, up in northern Arizona. And here in the Phoenix area, we've also done Saguaro Lake. So we're creating more opportunities for individuals. So there's multiple days and lots of different days where they can definitely come out and participate. As far as the number of boats, we do have multiple boats. So we offer adaptive water skiing, adaptive wakeboarding, adaptive wake surfing, tubing, kayaking, fishing, and boat rides.
Wow.
So there can be, I would estimate 10 vessels at one time on the water, all focused on and geared toward this event and the participants and the opportunities that they have. And people can come out and do whatever they want. They don't have to do all those things I just described. They can do what they would like, what they want to try, and we will assist them as best we can in any and all those events. So. Yeah.
Wow, very. Okay, so we all know how people can be on the water, and we know that not everyone on the water is always sober. We're going to admit that. That's the truth. Sadly. So how do you put you're protecting these individuals? Is there a certain area that you go to? Because if I'm out there, I wouldn't know anything different if it was a family or just a bunch of friends coming together and doing something. How do you make sure that there's safety involved?
Safety on the water is number one. And we it takes a lot of volunteers and a lot of just help to be able to make this a completely safe event. For every one participant, there's probably about 6 volunteers that are out there to make sure that everybody's safe. So specific to your question about other vessels, the general public that's on the water, these are public lakes, and of course they're open to them at that time. We actually have kind of observer boats that kind of follow us and hang around and keep an eye out for other vessels that aren't part of our group. Sometimes even jet skis. Jet skis are, they like to.
We know that.
They like
They
to
do
get
their
out
own
and be
thing.
around the wakes and things like that. We communicate. We're very friendly. We'll go up near them, beside them. We'll cruise along and we'll be like, hey guys, this is a special event. There's something going on. We have signage also on the docks to let everyone on the lake know that, hey, there's a special event going on today. And we do stay in a specific area. The lakes are very large. There's lots of space for everybody to go out and enjoy and have their time. So we just stay in a specific area. So thank the Lord, we've been blessed. We haven't had any accidents and everything has been safe. In many cases, a lot of times the boaters are on the lake, they're very curious. It's a very unique situation. You're seeing the sit ski situation and they're like, what's that and what's going on? And so there's a lot of times they'll come over to the dock or they'll talk to us and they'll ask about us. Many times they'll want to say, hey, how can we get involved? How can we participate and things like that? So which is definitely a good thing. But safety is number one, no doubt about it.
Good to hear, and I'm sure that it wouldn't be you wouldn't be out there if that wasn't one of the major factors that we have to make sure.
Right.
We talked about different abilities. I don't like to use disability, but it is a word that is used, but we're going to use different ability because I keep getting reminded by someone that it was in my life says, no, and I said, okay. So I always keep that in the forefront of my mind. We already talked about the age range. What are some of the different abilities of people that you have out there?
Well, mentioned earlier, traumatic brain injury. Individual with a potential traumatic brain injury have different abilities, but in many cases they're still ambulatory. They can still walk. I'll use that as an example. We've seen some great success in adaptive wakeboarding and individuals with TBI. We use a boom, which is a traditional water ski available piece of equipment. Many people have used in the traditional water skiing use it for barefooting. Well, the boom is amazing because it's a solid surface that someone can hang onto, and they're right near the boat, and we can coach and teach and help them right there, and we have someone in the water helping them, and we can get an individual up wakeboarding behind the boom, and then as they progress and improve, we can put them out what we call a 5-foot line. It's a single handle, 5 foot back, and then we can go back to long line. But that's an example. We've done amputees, individuals who might have an amputee, whether it's one leg, both leg, whatever it may be. We had an amazing gal who's an Olympian. She got up on a single ski with one leg, which was like, wow, it was incredible. These people are inspirational. They're very inspirational.
I'm inspired.
Yeah. Probably the largest segment of the population we have is spinal cord injuries. Individuals that maybe they've been in an auto accident or something that they've had a spinal cord injury. And that's where the adaptive water skiing comes in. If they don't have the ability, paraplegic, quadriplegic, depending on what their abilities are. And again, every individual, we assess them before they do anything. And we talk to them a lot. And it's this whole group of volunteers, we're helping them to be successful. What do we need to figure out for them to be successful? And it's gone really well. Last year, we did our first group for the blind.
Blind?
Yes, blind.
Oh,
yes.
wow. Now I'm
awesome.
even more inspired.
Yes, and it was challenging and inspiring, even as an instructor.
Yeah.
I've never taught a blind individual. I've been around water skiing my whole life. And it's all verbal. And we need to be able to communicate in a different way, because like I say, do this, do that. They can't see what I'm, trying to show them to do.
That's a whole different communication right there.
Absolutely. And so we had an amazing day, and we had multiple skiers, and we had great success, and everybody had a really good time. I had an individual, a gentleman who, I can remember a story. He lost his sight due to a medical he got the wrong prescriptions, and he lost his sight. And very able-bodied, very fit guy. He showed up that particular day, and he had a water ski that was probably 30 to 40 years old. Okay?
Oh, I didn't know they were still around.
Oh yeah, no, he had his old slalom ski, and which I love because I grew up skiing and I competitively skied, and so I recognized the ski. I knew what it was, which told me also that he was at a certain level in his life at a certain point in time.
Right.
And he was determined to get up on his ski, and we were able to get him up on a ski. We did start with 2 skis, and he dropped 1 ski and skied on a ski, but it was just amazing. And he was thrilled because he hadn't been on the water in all those years.
Wow.
All those years from his medical disability or his change in his life when he went blind, he hadn't been on the water, and he got an opportunity to get in the water. So I tell you, Christine, I don't know what there is that we couldn't help somebody. I mean, really, anybody can get out and participate. One of the activities that we added a few years ago was tubing. Many of your people may think of tubing, and they've seen tubing, or they've gone tubing with their crazy uncle or whoever, and they zing you all over the place. Crazy dad. I'm that crazy dad sometimes. Yeah. But it's not that kind of tubing. Okay? It's tubing. It is a traditional tube that you sit down in, and you've got 3 spaces, and you can have a participant and their family members. And I say that because that's really important, because families go through a lot of this.
They're on the
trauma
journey together.
Yes. Absolutely. This isn't just a journey for that individual. It's for the whole family.
Right.
The parents, the siblings, you name it. And to be able to get a family out on the water together and get them, again, wet and feeling the air going through their hair and splashing each other and just having a really good time. And again, it's very safe. We have chase vessels, and we have people behind if someone does fall and they need assistance, we're there. Wow. So I can't think of any type of situation that we can't help somebody get on the water. And of course, we're going to assess every one of them and make sure that it's safe. But
what keeps going through my mind right now is how many people do we hear, I can't. I can't. I always told my kids, can't isn't an option unless you've tried. And then guess what? You still can't say it now, can you? No, because can't isn't an option. Right. And to hear all these different scenarios and situations and different abilities, including being blind and still enjoying life, because it's not a matter of I can't, it's a matter of how can I.
Right.
I love that, and the freedom part, the freedom. I had this visual when you're talking about the tubing, that it's not one of those, okay, you have a different ability, so we can only do this. You're like, no, this is engaging the family and having their memories as well, being in a tube or being out on the water and watching that loved one enjoy their day.
Right. Yeah. It's way back in those years when we just had the 3 days. We go year to a complete year later, and I can see people in my mind right now would come up and tell me, I've waited for this all year long. Oh. Okay. I mean, how many of us wait for something a whole year? You know, we're an instantaneous society.
And then it's done.
Right. Yep. And so I'm proud of Joe and the organization, and what we've done is really expanded the opportunities and created more and more days and opportunities to be able to get out and for people to participate. It's a wonderful thing to be a part of, and it inspires me. It motivates me. Like I said, these participants motivate me, but just their appreciation for what they've been able to do is just heartwarming for me.
The other thing that I'm hearing in here also is serving. Mm-hmm. It doesn't even have to be about your faith, as this is a faith-based. It's not about whether it's a faith-based anything. It's about serving and the joy you can give to other people.
Right.
And that is beautiful.
All volunteers, everybody. Mm-hmm. The boat drivers, the boats, the you name it. It's all volunteers.
And anyone that's interested can go on to the website and find out more information. There's some videos out there as well, so you can see some of the things that take place. Here's a question, I'm sure someone's already thought this one. Training. Mm-hmm. What's the training?
Okay. To be a boat driver, there's quite a bit of training. Okay. Of course, there's the Arizona Boater Safety course, your basics in your first aid and your CPR, which everybody has. But the boat drivers need to have a minimum of 5 years of experience in boating and boat, whether depending on what it is, whether it's wake surfing, wakeboarding, things like that. But we, of course, do background checks on everybody, and we make sure everybody has extensive training. I was going to comment when you said that earlier. I said, we welcome new volunteers. We really do. We welcome younger generations. Some of those of us who have been, again, 19 years, not getting younger. So, the younger generation, come on out. But we do provide a lot of very in-depth training outside of the event, but also when you come out and volunteer early on in the beginning, we're going to pair you with veterans, volunteers, experienced volunteers who have a lot of experience behind them so that you can fully engage and understand the scope of everything that we do. And every position needs to be trained. I'll just touch real quick. You think of, I mentioned earlier the rope releases, okay? There's one person that's their job. They sit in the center of the boat and they watch that skier. That's all they do. They're not don't watch anything else. A boat driver drives. He's got to watch everything in the water. There's an observer watching for other things, other people, other boats, whatever it may be. That pin puller has to be focused, hyper-focused on that skier. And if they fall, they have to immediately release that so that the skier stays safe. That's a highly trained position. We have to have people that know what they're doing.
It's giving me anxiety right now, and I don't do anxiety, but it's like, wait, I got someone else in the water and all these different things, but I could, like you said, hyper-focused.
Right, because you mentioned earlier on the lake, they're busy. There's a lot going on.
Absolutely.
And we're no different. We've got, I call it the flotilla. There's a lot. Our whole thing, it's a big deal. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff going on out there. And everybody's got to do their job and do it well and do it right. And, of course, we have communications through radios and things like this. But, it's top of the priority, again, back to safety and training. They go together, making sure that, we have everything safe for the participants as well as our volunteers.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah. What is the youngest age and the oldest age you've had out there?
Youngest, I want to say, I think about 7 or 8 year old. We've had a variety of 7 or 8 year olds. I'd like to challenge the consumers. We'd love to see more children. To be straight up honest with you, I think sometimes the parents are the ones more fearful than the kids. The kids really want to come out. We love you. We want them to come out. Parents, and I get it. You've gone through a lot. There's a lot in life, but we really encourage you. The sooner you can get your kids involved in this, if they've got any type of disability, we're happy to work with you and the families, and there's lots of families. But we want to grow in the area of families and of kids.
That makes sense.
Definitely. The oldest participant, I want to say 76, I believe.
Ooh, good.
Yeah. And again, anybody, any age, you don't even have to get in the water if you don't want to. You could do boat rides, okay? You could do fishing. You could do kayaking, okay? Kayaking, you're probably going to touch the water a little bit, but fishing, so anybody's welcome at whatever age. Just come out and enjoy.
Hear that? There's room for all ages and families.
Absolutely.
So before I ask my final question, do you have any success stories that you want to share, or a story that a person just captured you at one? I'm sure there's lots, but one that actually holds to your heart the most.
Yeah, I would say Austin. Austin has had a traumatic brain injury. And when we launched the wakeboarding program, there was a lot of question: will it work? Will it be successful? Will participants be able to do it, to get up, to be on the water? And Austin was one of our first participants. And I was in the boat. I wasn't the driver. I was the coach and observer. And so, again, he was on the boom. And it took him a few tries, and we were able to get him up. And we got him up, and I was asking him to adjust his body position, to bring his hips forward and to bring his shoulders back because he was really crouched over. And he did it. He listened to me, and it was awesome. He did it. And then I told him to shift his weight. His weight was flat on his board, to put his weight on his heels. Well, when he put his weight on his heels, he literally threw a wake, okay, a wake of water, okay, literally right into the boat, okay.
Oh, no.
Soaked myself, soaked everybody in the boat. It was the funniest thing ever. And he saw it. He looked at it, and he's like, "I did that." And I'm like, "Yeah, you did that."
Oh.
And it was so much fun. It was great. And it's, yeah, and Austin has been inspirational to many, many people doing wakeboarding and purposely getting out there. And so there are a lot of stories and a lot of just great participants. And you just have to say, I'll try. I'll come out. I'm willing to get wet. I'm willing to give it a go. And we're there for each other. So,
what's Austin's different ability? Since we've talked about different ones, what was his different ability?
Well,
TBI?
Yes.
Okay.
Austin has a TBI. He was in, I believe, an auto accident. I think in his teens.
Is this Austin Alcorn?
It is.
Oh my gosh, I had no idea. That's
Yep.
who we were talking about.
That's awesome.
I know who he is.
Yep.
And I know his mom.
Great
and
young man.
Yes, he
Yep.
is. Oh, now I get to go back to Rhonda and say, I just heard a story about your son. I had no idea that's
Yep.
who you're going to refer to. Oh, that's awesome.
Yep. Great family. Yep. Austin's, and he's, like I said, he's inspired many, many people to continue to grow these activities, these events. And, he, like I said, he was one of the first going out and doing the wakeboarding, and many
Good for
have
him.
chosen
Good
to
for
follow.
you, Austin.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Of all the people that you, and I don't know how everyone is, I had a guest previous to you that was in an accident snowboarding. Mm-hmm. But they know your organization because they know Joe. They know how you guys all helped one another and how it actually all became a full circle of things. So I think it's just a great thing.
Well, another gentleman on our board, his name is Ryan Johnson.
Okay.
He started as a participant. You'll see him on our website. If you check out our website, Ryan has gotten very involved and an amazing guy. And but he also had a snowboard injury, I believe at 18 or so, and spinal cord injury. And he will tell his story, and Joe knew him through the hospital world, the rehab world, and I want to say, I don't remember, don't hold me this exactly, I was like 14 years or something, that he kept saying, no, this isn't for me, I don't want to do it, I didn't try it, whatever. Once he finally did it, once he finally tried, it changed his life. And he said he's done so much more. He's actually gone on, he's got a career in real estate, and he's amazing there, but he's a comedian. He's a stand-up comedian, he's hilarious, yeah. But that started after he got involved and kind of regained his confidence and was able to do water sports with the Arizona Adaptive Water Sports. So yeah, it can be life-changing, and that's what's also motivational. I mean, we see that day, we see that activity, that event, what they're doing, but when people leave and we keep in touch with them over the years and over time and what's going on, and people share with us that in many, many cases, it's life-changing. So that's what keeps bringing us all back out there.
We hear that, if it scares you, you're supposed to push through it. And here I'm hearing that, no, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And then life-changing is like, oh, now what else can I do?
Right.
So I have to remind myself sometimes, like, I just don't want to do this. It's scary. I don't know what the outcome's going to be, but I keep getting pushed. So it means you're supposed to do it. So good for him as well. And a comedian on top of that.
Yeah,
Who doesn't love a comedian?
Oh, yeah. Ryan's hilarious.
So I have a final question.
Yes.
If I only had one question to ask a person to find out who they are or what they're about, it would be this question. What message would you like to leave based on your journey of life?
God is good. Walk with Him and live life. Get up and go. Say yes to anything and everything that's legal and right. And live life. Don't get sucked in and settle, because it's your life. And it's much better lived actively. Step out, go, somebody says, you want to go get a cup of coffee and have a chat? That's a great idea. Get out and do it. Live life. And but where I started, God is good. He's amazing.
Good. A lot of people try to think that they're going to plan their lives out. We know that that changes.
It does.
So yeah, live in the moment, be present, and do it.
Right. Absolutely.
Like you said, legally.
Yes.
Thank you again for being my guest today and enlightening us and giving some stories.
Thank you.
Yes.
Pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Sorry, Joe, you weren't here, but we'll catch up at another time. If you have a story you want to share, know someone who has a story that would help someone else on their journey, please email me to the address of stories@christinehotchkiss.com. And if you'd like to be a sponsor, also you can email me to the address of stories@christinehotchkiss.com. I want to thank my studio sponsor, the Motivated Mind Group, your global creative agency based right here in downtown Chandler. Until next time, everyone, I wish you well, and you take care.